Hello everyone. Today we are trying to win this endgame with white. Now, when you see something like this, a knight and a bishop versus a bishop, it's usually a draw, but in this position, the pieces are perfectly aligned for a victory for white. And as usual, there is only one variation that wins, and I want you to try to find it. So pause the video, have a think, and then come back when you want to see the solution. Good luck. Okay, so we want to try to not allow the black king to reach f7, because then black can escape and it's going to be a draw. And if we play king f6, then black will have bishop g7 check, and this will be a draw. Black wins the bishop. And if we play king to e6, then black will have, for example, bishop to f4, and we have to move this knight, and black is going to be able to keep this knight away from attacking the black king. So this is going to be a draw. So king to g6 is the first correct move. It both takes away the f7 square from the black king and attacks the black bishop. Okay, so we are attacking the bishop and black has to move it to safety, which is one of these three squares. And well, if black goes with the first option, bishop to f4, then we have a fork and we will win the game. So black is not going to play bishop to f4, and the other move to look at is bishop to d2. I will look at bishop to e3 later. So at bishop to d2, how does white win this? So I'll give you a hint. We want to keep the black king on the 8th rank. And at the moment, it can escape to e7. So how do we keep black on the 8th rank? By playing bishop to a3 check. And this will force the black king to go to g8. And now what do we do? So our bishop is doing a good job of covering the f8 square, and the king is doing a good job of covering these squares. That means we want to improve our knight. So where do we put it? The first instinct would be to put it on e6, but on e6 it doesn't do anything. It doesn't hit any real targets. Instead, the correct move is to play knight to e5, sorry, knight to d5, because then we are threatening knight to f6 check, which is going to force the king to the corner. And now the poor black bishop doesn't have many squares to go to. It only has a5 or e1. All the other squares are very nicely taken away by white's pieces. So it doesn't matter where black goes. Bishop to a5, for example. We play knight to f6 check, king to h8, and now we have bishop to f8, threatening mate in 1. And the beautiful thing is that if black didn't have this bishop, then this would be a stalemate. But black has his bishop, and it's not a stalemate. Anything black does will be bishop to g7 checkmate. And it doesn't matter if black goes to e1, we still have knight to f6. King h8, bishop to f8, threatening mate in 1 again. And if black instead goes for king to h8 here instead of moving the bishop, well, here we can actually win the bishop, the black bishop. It's by first going bishop to b2 check, king g8, and then knight to f6 check. And if black goes to h8, then we have a discovered check and we win the bishop. And if black goes to f8, then we have bishop to a3, which will be a checkmate. So that doesn't work either. So now let's look at what happens when the bishop goes to e3 instead, and it's a little bit different. If we try with the previous plan of bishop to a3, king g8, and then knight d5, trying to get the same mating net going on, it's not going to work, because black can play bishop to d4 this time, and it's going to own this whole diagonal, and when black has that diagonal, then we cannot win this. It's a draw. So instead we have to play bishop to g7, and that is the only winning move for white here. And now, of course, what happens if black goes to e7, thinking that he has now escaped the 8th rank? Well, then we have the fork on knight to d5 check. So black has to remain on the 8th rank. King to g8. And here we have two winning moves. One of them that might seem to be the most natural one to play is knight to d5, but this is actually the most difficult variation to win. It might seem very easy, we're just threatening knight to f6 mate or knight to e7 mate, but look at this. Black has bishop to g5, and if we capture the bishop, then we're going to lose our bishop, and this bishop is taking away these squares from the knight. But white is still winning, but it will take a lot more moves, and there is a simpler way, and that is to play knight to e8. And now we are still threatening knight to f6 checkmate, but black can still play bishop to g5, and if we take the bishop thinking that our bishop is defended by the knight, well, black has king to f7, which forks our knight and bishop. So black will still play bishop to g5, but that is not an issue. We have a plan for that, and that is to play knight to d6. And our idea is that we want to get our knight to f5 and threaten mate on e7 and h6. Okay, so black cannot move the king, can only move the bishop. Let's say goes back here or something. Then we go ahead with play knight to f5, and we're now threatening mate here. Okay, black just plays bishop to g5, right? Well, this time we can take the bishop, because black doesn't have some fork like last time. So here we are winning. Knight and bishop is a win. And yeah, there is nothing black can do to stop mate on e7 or h6 at the same time. So the best bet black really has is to go for the bishop sacrifice and hope that white doesn't know how to mate with a knight and a bishop. But that's a video for another time. Okay, so let's go through it again. So first move was to play king to g6, and we saw that if bishop to f4, then we have this fork and we win. If bishop to d2, then we can force black into this corner, and yeah, doesn't matter what black does here, we have the mate on g7. And the longer variation was with bishop to e3, bishop to e3, and here we had bishop to g7. Black cannot play king to e7 because of the fork, so black will have to play king to g8, and then we had knight to e8, and doesn't matter what black does here. For example, bishop to g5, we have knight to d6, threatening knight to f5, and then a mate coming up. And yeah, black goes somewhere, and we have a mate, or black just sacrifice the bishop, and we have to figure out how to mate with a knight and a bishop. But as I said, that's a video for another time. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you found any of the variations, and I will see you in the next chess video. Have a nice day.